Now, to say that the PDP has suffered from terribly bitter rivalries is to put it mildly. It's perhaps more appropriate to say that it's been brutalized and massively impoverished by them, and is currently living under the threat of destruction as a result. The critical issues of internal party goodwill, cooperation and democracy have all been in extremely short supply. And after several years of savage internecine rivalries, the party has shrunk from the trauma of political warfare as various factions battle for control. Veterans of party intrigue, such as the Minister of Abuja, Nyesom Wike, and a host of others, have been central to this wrenching Game of Thrones. But now, amid all the plots which have brought on the worst of times, the PDP is trying to soldier on. It's held its National Executive Committee meeting today, but many issues such as zoning and the secretaryship of the party remain unresolved. A bit concerning given that so many have been turned off by all the squabbling and have moved on. So how much is the PDP likely to remain trapped in this Hobbesian hell of internal warfare, even as many of its members align themselves with the ruling APC? How much of a high wire act is it engaging in as it tries to navigate and negotiate a difficult, if not impossible, reconciliation deal? Well, for more on this, I'm joined now in the studio by a member of the Board of Trustees of the People's Democratic Party, Patrick Onyia, who was at today's meetings. How nice of you to come.
Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Long day for you, I imagine.
Very long.
A long 2 days, in fact.
Very long ones, yes.
Is there any evidence you've seen that the PDP has now started by properly repairing itself and that the different factions have all embraced this, or does that remain to be seen?
First of all, let me make a little correction. My name is Chief Ejiofor Onyia. Patrick is my middle name.
Okay. Well, we'll remember that.
Please, take note. Well, PDP...
But at least your name is still Patrick.
Yeah, still right. PDP is a very strong party.
Is it?
It is a party that you can find in every local government in this country. Bickering at the leadership has very rarely affected the followership at that level. Unfortunately, there have been misunderstandings at the national level, and those misunderstandings could have easily been taken care of, but for some interests that unfortunately are not in tandem with the goals and aspiration of most of us in the PDP.
But what worries people is that you allowed those interests to fester for so long, and they're still festering.
Well, if you trace the genesis of all this problem, you will find that at the time this problem started, there was little or nothing we could have done, because the emphasis at that time was the presidential election and then the follow-up elections. So it wasn't at the right time to react in a decisive manner, because you needed everybody to come together to win the election.
Yeah, but you've had 2 years since that election.
Unfortunately, we lost that election. As soon as we lost the election, the issue of leadership now came up in the manner that we least expected. Unfortunately, some game was played to destabilize the national leadership by somebody went to court or something like that to remove our chairman, which was unfortunately at that time not constitutional, but the damage was done and our chairman had to leave office. And with our chairman leaving office, in trying to settle that situation, all the other problems started developing from under. And there was no authority at that time to stamp the situation. And this is what brought us to where we are today. But I would like to make the point very clear. You see, the bickering at the national level, which is centered basically on one position, It's not what should scare anybody who is a true lover of democracy and a true member of PDP. I don't believe that running away is the solution to something that you have built, a house you have built, and then an intruder or a squabble developed within the home, and you abandon your home. Say your children are quarreling. Is it running away that settles the problem? No. Look, we're in a democracy. And if actually people have ideology and believe in the ideology of a party, then why should you leave your party to go to another party? It only tells me that you are not in line with the ideology of the party you were in. And probably you found the one that suits you better, then you can go. But one thing is certain, PDP is still very popular. And as soon as these issues are settled, all the membership, because with the kind of reports we are getting and the way people are reacting, tells us that we still have hope for this country.
Right. Well, it's not hope for the country, it's hope for the PDP. And the question is whether you've now gone completely off the rails or whether you're still perching on one corner of the rails, in which case you might be able to rebalance yourself and not keel over completely. And one of the ways you were trying to do that was this series of meetings which have now been taking place. The PDP NEC meeting ends. Any decision on those critical issues such as the party secretaryship?
No. Well, at the caucus level, we looked at this very clearly. And we said, well, because of the doubt as to how INEC will react to one thing or the other, let us leave this matter for now. Let us deal with issues that we can deal with at the NEC. And then between now and the next NEC, which will come in within the next 1 month, we will settle the issue of the secretaryship and every other thing that we need to do. We have committees we have set up, like the disciplinary committee. They need to bring their report in, and all those will come together. The issue of the secretaryship, we have received the Southeast position on it today, and we've kept it for the next session of the NEC. So when we receive all these reports, including the one we set up today, the committee we set up today for convention and zoning, there's no issue, there's no problem with zoning for the convention.
Well, I'm going to come to zoning, but what worries people is that you don't seem to have or to be able to exert control over those renegade elements that are causing problems within the party. So you can't predict. You're saying we're going to sit down there, sort of cross our legs and wait till the next NEC meeting in June. I mean, you can't predict what is going to happen between now and then, given all the unresolved issues.
No, you didn't
I mean, the party might not even go beyond that next meeting.
I said to you that these committees will submit their reports, and those reports we will take up in the next NEC meeting and make far-reaching decision on them. I'll give you an example. If the disciplinary committee submits their report and makes a recommendation, the NEC will have to take a position on those recommendations. And that will be
well, you have to take action.
We take action.
Right.
Oh, yeah. So that will be a step forward. But, but look, the issue is very simple. This issue of secretaryship that we're debating over and over has only about 2-3 months left, lifespan. So at the end of that, it's over. So there will be no more crisis.
Yeah, but the point is whether the people who are disputing that secretaryship will be prepared to wait for those 3 months.
Well, there's not, look, as I said, the next NEC meeting, we make that decision.
Right.
And then we'll move forward from
there. Well, let's move from that to the other big elephant in the room. That's the issue of zoning.
Right.
Especially when it comes to 2027 now. Any decision on that?
No, we're not there yet. We're going for a convention, elective convention, to elect executives of the party. The issue of presidential convention hasn't come up at all. And that will be coming up probably in 2026, late 2026 or early 2027. Right. So it's not an issue for now.
But the issues of zoning within the offices that are coming up, I mean, how much of a potential
We've never had a problem with zoning because there's a system that is already in place. I'll give you an example. If the usual thing, if the chairman is from the North Central, right, and the president is from the South, the chairmanship remains in the North.
Yeah, but you've betrayed that principle.
Well,
I mean, some have suggested that the capital crime that the PDP committed against itself was the failure to zone the presidency to the South in 2023 and to balance things the way that it should have been. That's what's led to the G5 and all the rest of them. I mean, is there a recognition now in the PDP that that was wrong? Because if you don't acknowledge your mistakes, how can you learn a lesson?
And I think I need to put you through about the situation in PDP and why the issue of zoning became a problem. Look at PDP as an entity. How many years has a PDP president ruled from the South? And how many years has a PDP president ruled from the North?
The point I'm making is that it was that issue that led, that led to the crisis.
Precisely. And we didn't sit down to really recognize and deal with it in a mature manner. Between you and I, I'm a Southerner. And the two Southern presidents ruled under the PDP for, I think, 12 years or 14 years, really. 14 years. And the Northern president from PDP ruled for only 2 years. Now, when you talk of zoning, where is the equity? And the Northerners felt like, look, in the PDP, we haven't gotten our own period. And something went wrong somewhere. So we needed to sit down and take the whole thing in a holistic manner.
Yeah, but is that really the way to deal with it? I mean, you were losing elections. The North had that presidency in 2019. You lost.
True.
The North had the president. You gave it again to the... So, in other words, you're going to keep giving it to them until they win? I mean, is that the way you see it?
If they had it in 2019, right, and lost, then they should have had it again in 2023.
But a lot of people disagree.
And if they lose, then the two tenors are over.
Okay, I see. That was the thinking. So it was like a two-term thing.
Precisely.
Right.
That's what we're looking at.
Right. Well, nobody actually explained it as thoroughly as you have.
This is what I'm trying. Yeah, this is where the problem started from.
Right.
A lot of people refused and just kept saying the North and the South. Look, that APC has it for 8 years.
Yeah.
How does it benefit a PDP member from the North? He didn't benefit. You're with me. We're playing politics. We're playing party politics. That APC had it from the North doesn't mean PDP had it. So these are the issues that were so delicate that we needed to sit down and mature people and brought out and settled. But instead, people were throwing stones. Unfortunately, some of us, the elderly ones, were not allowed into the field to be able to settle this matter.
But there was also the issue of the chairmanship, wasn't there? Where it goes to, if the North has the presidency.
At the time we had our convention, it was generally agreed that the chairmanship should come from the North. And there was no contention. Because I can tell you here that most of the Southerners supported the IU emerging as the chairman of the party, including some of us today who are quarreling about it. So some of us, because, as I told you, they had their personal interest. They supported IU to become president, the chairman of the party, so that automatically the presidency should have been zoned to the North, to the South.
Right.
That was the whole idea. But that wasn't discussed before that situation. That's why we have problem. Unfortunately, like I said to you, see, these young ones sometimes jump the gun, and they believe that once we do it here, you have to accept this. It doesn't work out in the political arena. Experience must be brought to bear.
Right.
And things must be discussed properly. And that's what we're trying to do now.
Right, okay. Well, what about the issue of the opposition coalition? Well, where does the PDP fit into that?
No, we're not into the opposition coalition as it is right now.
So you're going to stand on your own?
PDP is standing on its own. PDP has a lot of followership. We could have coalition, but must be under the PDP leadership. We can have that. But we're not going to dissolve into a coalition because PDP is too much of a party.
Yeah, but I don't understand. I mean, this is a country where personalities often lead politics.
Is it not time we begin to change that?
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying, well, I mean, I don't know whether you're going to be able to change it. I'm simply here to adduce to you what the facts are.
Right.
And you've got Atiku Abubakar, who is in the coalition.
Right.
You've got Peter Obi, who is in the coalition.
Right.
You could argue that they're the two biggest lights in the opposition camp, PDP or not.
Right.
What will the PDP look like in 2027 if it is not a part of that opposition coalition? How would you expect those people to subsume themselves under the PDP?
Everybody you've mentioned now had been a member of PDP.
Yeah, but they're no longer members. Well, I mean, Atiku still is.
Well, Atiku is still a member of PDP.
Yeah, but he's seeking his fortune, or appears to be seeking his fortune elsewhere.
Well, he's still trying to do that, but he might also bring the coalition to PDP.
Right.
I don't believe Atiku will jettison PDP and go into another coalition to win the presidency of Nigeria.
Yeah, but if you deny him the presidential ticket, and I'm not speaking on his behalf, so I don't know what's going on in his mind, but if on the face of it you deny him the presidential ticket and he goes elsewhere to get that ticket, then obviously he's going to leave your party. I mean, if the zoning issue, as you put it earlier, that the North now has had its two terms, 2019 and 2023, and both times it lost.
They lost, yes.
And it is now time for it to move away from that zone, in which case he won't stand a chance. So what's going to keep him in the PDP?
Well, this is hypothetical.
Yeah, it is, to some extent.
The party has not decided on where to go. And we will also look at what the country's temperament or temperature is on over such matters. But we're not going into that for now, as I told you. Atiku's movement, trying to form a new coalition, is in order. I have nothing against that. But I believe very much that as a founding father of the party, he will have to think twice before abandoning PDP.
But you recognize that the chances of the opposition, not just the PDP, but the opposition as a whole, of wresting power from the APC is much greater if the PDP is part of that coalition.
Well, you could, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if that coalition in itself will be able to manage the association to achieve what you're saying.
Right. Anyway,
I believe PDP, as it is today, can wrest power from APC if it works hard and present the right candidate.
Right. Well, as we say, we'll have to wait and see. But let's talk about something that isn't hypothetical.
Very well.
You were forced to hold your meeting elsewhere, away from your secretariat, because you didn't pay your ground rent on your secretariat.
Okay.
I understand it's about 7 million naira, which should be a paltry sum to a party like yours. And Nyesom Wike, Minister of Abuja, and a member of your party sealed off the building. Was that discussed at your NEC meetings? I mean, if so, how was that action seen by those who were there at the meeting?
Well, we were actually in the caucus meeting when we got the information yesterday. And, well, what do we do? It was obvious. The unfortunate thing about this tournament rate is not because we couldn't pay it, but it was an issue of the documents of purchase. and something in that nature.
Yeah, but that issue had been, I mean, he was talking about it quite some, days and possibly even weeks before he took action.
Agreed, but before you can pay your tenement rate, you must present proof.
Yeah, but you could have approached them.
Ownership.
You could have approached them. I mean, you're a party that wants to win an election, that wants Nigerians to trust you, but you don't pay your ground rent.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Who will pay the ground rent?
Well, it doesn't matter who.
Of the party?
The point is
the man who sealed the office is a member of PDP.
Yeah, but
is it not shameful on all of us that we could not do this? As a leader in PDP, he should have looked for a solution.
He should have looked for a solution.
Of course he should have looked for a solution.
But the party itself should be the one coming up with the solution.
Who is the party?
He's doing
he's part of the party.
Yeah, but he's doing his job.
Of course he's doing his job.
Yeah, he's doing his job as the minister of Abuja. You defaulted. You were informed that you've defaulted. You didn't pay your rent. And then he comes after you, and you say that he should have let you go.
Look, I didn't say he should have let us go.
Isn't that the corruption we're talking about?
I never said he should have let us go. I said he, as a member of the party, should have taken the action to make sure that that place was in sale.
So do you see it as a betrayal then on his part?
No, not really. That is his choice.
Right.
The point is that I've told you that the reason that money had not been paid was because of the issue of the documents. Because to pay tenement rate, you must show proof of ownership.
Right.
And we couldn't produce that document at that particular time. And that's why that money had not been paid. But right now, I think it's been taken care of because everything we've gotten.
But was there the perception that he was playing a kind of dirty game, political game, against the PDP?
Well,
because he did say just before that action that all bets were off.
When the eye cries at night and the child dies in the morning, what is the association?
Well, I don't know. You tell me.
You should know that. It's unfortunate. It could be, because he had made the threat that he's going to react over certain things.
Yeah.
And then the next day this happens. Even if it's genuinely done, but because of that threat, it looks like it's because of it. And then.
But I mean, there's so many things that have happened with Nyesom Wike. I mean, why is he still in the PDP?
Well, that question should actually be well addressed to him. I don't know why he's in the PDP, but he believes probably in the PDP.
Yeah, but does the PDP believe in him?
Well, I don't think any of us, I'm not in a position to say that this guy or this guy should not belong to PDP. I'm not in a position. It's free association.
Right.
That's the constitution in Nigeria.
Okay. On that note, I want to thank you very much indeed. Ejiofor Patrick Onyia
yes.
is a member of the Board of Trustees of the People's Democratic Party, and a very articulate one at that, I might say, who was at today's meetings, and we're very grateful to you for coming in.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.